Hey guys, it's Ryan from Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning. Hey guys, it's Ryan from Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning. Today I'm Ryan from Long Island Building and Contracting Consultants. These Fujitsu mini splits, they have 4 options. Did a quick case study on a block that I actually grew up in West Babylon. Hey guys, it's Ryan from Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning. I want to introduce you guys to Mark Schmitzky. Has become a very good friend of mine over the years, but he reps a lot of the product that we install and has helped us out immensely over the years. So today's going to be a little bit about him and how he started and worked his way up and the role he plays in the industry today. So of course I still got Frank here as usual, and
Here I am.
so basically, Mark, I mean, how old were you got in the industry and how did you start?
Well, I would have to say I was born into the industry. My father started at Sid Harvey's in 1963. So as he progressed and moved up in the company, as a kid, you're always looking for a part-time job. And it's easier to work for your father because this way when you go on vacation, your boss doesn't get mad at you.
Right.
So we ended up, my sister and I started working with him in 1983 in the factory.
Okay.
So that's when I first went entree into the business, working in the factory, learning all the heating parts and items like that. And went to college, and then in 1992, during the recession, got hired by corporate to be in marketing for Sid Harvey's. And then from there, was in corporate for about 2 years.
How old were you then?
21.
So it's a young
And
age.
just moved right up.
in corporate,
Then moved into the branches in '94. I started in Farmingdale. That was the first branch I had. Was in Farmingdale for 4 years, grew that business, then got promoted to an area manager, operations manager for 23 branches around the country.
Now let me ask you, how many days a week did you work, and did you mind working the weekends?
I worked, well, it's a normal 5 days a week.
Right.
It was very interesting to say that because when I was in corporate, I wanted to learn more about the business. So I wanted to work in the branches on the weekend, and I went to the vice president and I said, I want to work in one of the branches in Long Island on the weekend to learn what I'm doing because I'm making decisions that I'm not comfortable with,
Right.
picking product and stuff and marketing. So he said, well, we can't pay you. I said, well, I'll work for free.
So you worked for free on the
So
weekend.
on Saturdays, I would go to the branches between Hicksville at that time and Babylon and work on a Saturday for 4 hours for free in the branches during the winter to learn how to write tickets and pull orders and understand the parts and all that stuff. And then during that time, I went to Bosie's at night for oil burner and refrigeration and heating. So
What year was that?
That would be 94 to 96.
So I was there 10 years later.
Yep.
9 years later.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I went to Bosie's in Westbury. I did that. And then when I got to corporate, they wanted me to learn refrigeration. No, I'm sorry, when I was in the branch, they wanted me to learn refrigeration, so they sent me to Copeland for a 4-week class that I had to go out a week at a time out to Sydney, Ohio. There is nothing in
to
Sydney,
do
Ohio.
there. No offense to Sydney.
No offense to Sydney, right. Trust me,
Maybe
all
there's
of us
something now.
from all over the country, I met people from all over the country. We were staying at the Holiday Inn, and that was it. So, and then after that, they would send me to various refrigeration schools and stuff like that. So I got to learn air conditioning, refrigeration, and heating was always our baseline of what we did
Right.
for that.
Right. So then you were with Sid Harvey's for.
To about 1999. In April of '99, before that, I got recruited by Blackman. They wanted to get more into the parts and pieces business. They were already doing boilers on Long Island, but they weren't fully into hydronics. So I got recruited with a couple other people to go work at Blackman to start the hydronic division for that.
So you started the hydronic division
in Blackman in April of 1999. I did that, and then in 2001, I was promoted to sales manager for the company. But that was through Richard Blackman. I got promoted and brought back to corporate to do that. Then, I have to say 2008, I was promoted to general manager for the whole wholesale division.
Everything. So you were like what, number 2, number 3 guy?
Number 2.
Number
was
2
responsible for all wholesale,
Huge.
distribution for the branches, anything to do with the sales side of it on the wholesale. No
And
responsibility
what
for
was
retail.
Blackman doing with gross sales at that time? You remember?
In 2009, we finished that. I wish it would have rounded off, but it was 189,950,000.
And you're the number 2 man of that big of a corporation.
Yep, and that was 2009.
Huge.
And that was strictly Long Island. We
Right.
did not do anything. At that time, we were not in New Jersey. We didn't do the Jersey acquisition. Strictly Long Island and the 5 boroughs.
Up to 2009.
And that involved waterworks, which I was responsible for. Waterworks, HVAC, hydronic heating, and general plumbing.
That's incredible.
Fixtures
Huge.
and all that.
Big months.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
And as people, I don't think everyone really understands how many moving pieces there are to get a product. Even for me to install a product in a house, how many other behind the scenes movements are there just to get the product to the warehouse from the wholesale to from the distributor to the wholesaler, right?
Yep.
And then to us.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's just
We were very good at moving boxes.
yeah.
We were very good at
Huge.
learned a long time ago from a manufacturer that the one that knows how to move the boxes the most efficient way and the correct way will win at the end of the day.
Be most profitable.
And we were very good back then. at
Which
doing that.
we've learned. We're learning that at my company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Mark,
Efficiency wins.
yeah, Mark's like seeing the huge expansion to like maybe we shouldn't have gone so big to a little bit more to a little bit, and then now where we are right now seems to be a good fit. But so then after Blackman,
I got recruited by a manufacturer from a German pump manufacturer to work for them for their entree to come in. It was responsible for the U.S. It was made national sales manager. At that time they were a $2 billion company, so it was like
$2 billion.
$2 billion. Multi-international, had 6,000 employees, and they wanted to get into the North American market. Family owned, established in a trust, and it was a great experience because it was a much larger company. Got to understand the next step of evolution in business and what it would be,
Right.
and did that. And then worked there for about 4.5 years, and then my old boss got into a rep agency and asked if I would come back, and then I ended up coming back and working for him again on Long Island,
Which is where you work now.
which is where I work now.
Advanced Hydronics. you can
Yep,
say.
Advanced Hydronics, and we have
Great.
Advanced Hydronics, we have Next Associates, and Next Luxury. We run 3 different divisions within it.
So I explain to a lot of my customers that the reason I use certain product is I use a lot of Mark's product because I have a relationship with Mark. We use other products too, but I would say 80% of the product that I use, I have a relationship with Mark. I know Mark helps me if there's a failure on a product or an issue or anything like that, and that's what the wrecking company basically does.
So for somebody completely out of the industry,
Yes.
what does your company do?
His
No,
company-
yes.
My company, we are,
Hydronics.
we do.
To me, I know water,
we
and that's all I
I
got.
use water.
That's all,
We use
that's all
water.
I got. I got water.
Our company focuses on heating,
Okay.
heating related products that produce either domestic hot water for your showers or to heat your house with. And that's what Advanced Hydronics does, and our lines encompass that, and we become very well versed in those lines to do that. And the products we do have been long term. We've been a peerless rep, the rep means you're an agent of the factory. We represent the factory and take care of all issues and what has to go on, but also size and help contractors get through it. And we've been doing that since the late 80s with that line.
Okay.
And we're one of their biggest rep firms in the country with that.
Wow.
Multi-state, we actually cover Long Island, 5 boroughs, up to Poughkeepsie, New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania out to State College is our territory. And we also represent Peerless there, and we represent Renai Tankless Water Heaters in those markets and some other lines too.
Mark is the one who took me down to Renai
Right.
years ago when I went
So
down.
Georgia?
Georgia.
To Georgia, to
Yeah.
Peachtree, Georgia, yeah.
I remember
Got
the videos you said. I love their commercials.
Yeah.
Commercials are phenomenal. Right.
Yeah, so they're actually with the first tankless manufacturer. I don't think you saw it when you were down. We talked about it. That it is they're building a factory as we speak, 500,000 square feet to start producing all of their tankless line here. Right now, we actually produce what they call non-condensing or mid-efficiency line in Georgia. They actually transported the whole line from Japan, dismantled it, brought it here to America, and reassembled it here.
we'll probably have Jason or Craig or both come and do an episode
Yeah.
as well, talking about
From Renai.
from
From
Renai.
I think I met them.
Yeah.
Maybe at dinner or something.
You definitely met them. I think we
Yeah.
went to.
Oh, we went to dinner one night.
You went to,
the Markman guy with
yeah,
Frederick.
you went.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah.
Good dinner.
Nice.
But yeah, no. So basically, now here you are, but it didn't just come easy.
No,
It didn't come
no.
without sacrifice, and it
It was
didn't.
a lot of
Working
hours.
weekends for free to learn business, learn trade.
Yeah, working for free, but going to night school and learning that even after college, and even when I got to Blackman, I knew nothing about a toilet bowl or a waistline, so then I went again to Bosse's in Belport to learn plumbing for a year and a half. So, and then I did plan takeoff. So, I was always under the belief if I don't know it, I can't sell it or understand it, and leave my people. So I would go at night. But I would be very secret. No one really knew that I worked for Blackman because I always wanted to see what the instructors, how they would react to Blackman or how they would react to the people. And had one instructor that was a union recruiter. That was interesting. But it wasn't until the end I would let them know that I would work for Blackman.
Right.
But they were all positive.
But
all
I
good
knew something
instructors.
was funny about it.
Yeah. So that's how I learned how to plumb a house, and then at times I would do side work but not get paid for it to go work with a contractor to see how they put a boiler in or how to rough a house and do stuff like that.
Seems that everyone that we've had in this chair, basically,
Yeah.
that's successful has put in the work.
The hours.
It's never like this has just been handed to me. This is never.
It's not a 40-hour week.
Right. It's
to
always
get
the
to-
extra mile to get you to the next level, and it just doesn't seem like there's a trait out there that someone who's successful doesn't have that trait.
No.
And that's
No. And not necessarily have to
And
own
the
a
mindset.
business to do it.
Right.
I mean, Mark's extremely successful, moving up the ladder, working hard, and putting in time.
And it's hard. If you want to be successful, you have to learn what the business is.
Yeah.
You know, in my days at Blackman, I could be in a meeting in the morning discussing boilers with Wama, Plain, Burnham, or Peerless. After lunch, I could be in a waterworks meeting looking over fire hydrants and ductile iron. You know, but you got to be versed when you sit with the manufacturers so they understand you know what you're doing and stuff too.
Yeah,
you
especially.
gotta have confidence in what you're suggesting, what your knowledge is.
And then at the end, we'll be talking about mini splits or regular air conditioning with Rude. You know, it's just, the whole systems and design with it too, to be able to try to get to that one-stop shop supply house concept with it.
Right.
And training.
But do you find with I think this is always a common question you and I talk to customers. Like my background is boilers. Like that's where I really started. Oil burner service, and that's my thing. We do air conditioning. I am knowledgeable of air conditioning. We do a lot of air conditioning, but my strongest point is boilers. Now your strong point would be hydronics.
It
Or you basically
eventually became that.
Well-rounded.
At SIDS, your strong point in the beginning was always oil burners,
Oil
parts
burners.
and stuff, because you were kind of born on that,
Right.
and you just knew it, and you knew the part. Even to this day, I walk into the store, they'll ask me for a part number.
Yeah.
Or the other day, they go, "What's branch 31?" I'm like, "That's New Haven." They're like, "I know where that is."
Yeah.
So you were just born on that, and it was just part of your nature.
Right.
And they had a great part numbering system because every part number meant something to Sidari part number back then. So it was really easy to understand parts and where they were in the store. Then eventually you were trained to do, when we were moving to refrigeration, they would send you out for refrigeration or air conditioning.
Right.
But everyone in the industry started one format, would have to learn other pieces.
Yeah.
For some reason, could be the course of the business, the way it developed, but years ago, every supply house had their own silo. This one did air conditioning, this one did heating, this one did plumbing.
Right.
Very little crossover. It wasn't until the late 90s that everyone wanted to have supply everything at one time.
Right.
And that's where the knowledge that you had to be up on it, because you're trying to put X amount of products through a branch and have that knowledge within the people, to have some knowledge of air conditioning or some knowledge of heating or
Right.
some knowledge of doing that.
Right. Well, I still find out when I call any branch and any distributor, there's guys who are very strong on HVAC and they're okay on boilers. And sometimes when I ask them a question they don't know, they'll point me in the direction of another guy. Let me put you on the phone with so-and-so, he's a little stronger than I am.
Right.
So you can't necessarily know everything. You do have your strong points. Try not to have any weak, but
The
you can
problem
only fit so much.
today in the industry is that the senior guys that taught me or getting to that point of retiring, and some of the younger kids don't have the knowledge of what the senior people were doing, in a supply house or in a rep agency.
Is it so much the knowledge or the desire to know?
It's more the desire to know because they want the instantaneous access through the computer. Like we just found the software that we've been out selling called Sales Made Simple that actually has questions that guides the inside salesperson through to pick out a mini split and do this because they just, I don't know, I can't say that people don't have the capacity anymore, they just don't have the tolerance to learn something all the time.
Right. So
this software will guide you through on how to lay out a boiler or how to lay out this. Well, years ago, you say, I need a 3-section boiler, like, all right, do you need the fittings, do you need the pumps, do you need this, and it's just, you started keying away.
Right.
Today, that the people that come in, because there is so much in one building, they don't have that. They just want to know, how do I get to this? And if you throw them out of their sequence and say, well, I need a mini split 2-zone, they're like, they'll get frozen. So this software kind of helps that. And I think that's more where we're going, is it's going to be more assisted through software than the old knowledge of people doing it.
I think that's a lot of people, including yourself, the biggest concern of the next 5-10 years of where this industry is going to be.
Right.
Because not people kind of retiring anytime soon, but Mark, who's going to replace Mark?
Right.
You've gone through, since I know you, how many guys in your office just to get like a second hand to you?
We've had 5 young kids come through that just don't last because it's a lot of knowledge, and we try to explain to them, you're going to start at the bottom, you're going to start with the easy stuff to get to the hard stuff, and it's going to take years. In this industry, it does take that long. You're not going to size a house or an air conditioning system or jobs like that real quick. You can't learn that from a book right away.
Right. But that's not all true because you did it.
Yeah, but I stayed with it.
And you stayed with it and you worked the extra hours. So you can work in a year's time, almost 2 years worth of work.
Right.
Is what I try to get through to a lot of the guys who come here. And like even Mark, when Mark has guys, he'll send them to work with us for a day, just to kind of know what we're talking about, and not paid.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to do it. But it'll last like a day or two. They'll stay with the company for a little bit, and then that's it. And it's the same thing, I think, with a lot of industries, and that's like our topic of discussion with everyone we bring in here, whether it's not in the heating and air conditioning industry or
Finance,
sales or finance or whatever. I think everyone wants that quick buck, and they don't want to put the work in for it, and everyone wants to be a millionaire in a year.
Like that. Yep.
And I think too, in our industry, the products are going to become more intuitive and tell you what's going on. Whether it's like calling Catskill Relay, it's telling you what the failure was because you don't have to analyze it anymore and think it's the solenoid valve or if it was the motor. It will tell you what the faults are. And I think manufacturers going to that because the person walking in is not going to have that knowledge, wants to diagnose right then and
So
there.
we're becoming what we call parts changers.
Years ago we were, and then we eventually went from devices having blinking lights, and you had to count the blinking lights, and now digitally will tell you what's going on. And then you're going to get an error code, and they're going to want to know that. I mean, the cars, they plug in the computer, it'll tell you every error code that's going on. And I mean, whether it's an outboard engine or cars, the chip will tell you. And that's what the industry is going to go to. The people are going to come in, plug in, or Bluetooth. I mean, they make pumps now that you can bring up on your iPhone and communicate to them and tell you what they're doing.
Right.
That's what it's going to come to. Because the diagnosing or understanding the differential pressures and doing the math are not going to be there. They want to come in, see it, figure it out, and do that.
Instant gratification world that we live in. That's basically what
As
it is.
fast as they can understand to do that. Like you would know going to a condenser unit, it's not starting. Is it the condenser van, or is it the contactor, or is it the relay? Then I got to get my voltage
You
meter
don't have to
out.
look for the easy fixes first, or the cheapest fixes for the customer. We always look for first because we don't want to be a big deal. So we look for the quick, easy fix. That hopefully that's what it is, and then if it's past that, then it's just a sequence of diagnostic and anything.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't really like that. there's nothing really that we can do about it. That we're almost dumbing down the industry. But I think if kids watch more things about this industry and saw how this industry puts just as much technology in as making a new phone. Everyone's more into that, but then they think that a boiler is the same boiler that it was even 10 years ago.
I tell you all the time.
It's not the same.
Your industry is not a sexy industry.
No.
It's not that where people are going to gravitate towards unless they have an interest and a love for the product and the process.
And what happens is that from a technology point of view, they have to advance it because the statistics are out there and it's very blatant that for every 5 plumbers or HVAC people that retire, only 1 person comes in the industry.
Scary.
So there is a deficit of plumbers and HVAC and people wanting to come in. It's not sexy. They always say that someday the HVAC technician will have the same salary as a doctor because they're going to become of need. It's not coming in.
Supply and demand.
And it's a true supply and demand of it. And we could be in a downside economic today, but still those people aren't here today.
Now the problem is people look at that and say like, oh, that's good for you. No, because I know I could grow my business double what it is right now if I had the right people, but I can't because I can't send people out in the truck unless I know they're going to do a good job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's going to take time and development and to get a guy to do that. So it's, will I make more money or will the company make more money down the line? Yeah, but it's a pressure because who's going to get there when it's cold?
Right.
That's the problem, and that's the stress. So it's not so much the money; it's the stress of getting to everybody. And if you don't have the guys coming into the industry, you're in trouble.
And the other problem we have in this industry is, as a country, hydronically, the biggest market is the New York, New England market for boilers and all that too. And then it goes out to Pennsylvania, and then you do more furnaces and then little pockets in the West. But there are so many different manufacturers that ship equipment into this market, high efficiency product, that Ryan's company will walk in on that might have not been trained on and trying to help a homeowner out because they put something in. Consequently, too, also by having all these manufacturers, not everybody stocks the parts, so you can't fix it right away. So it really becomes a problem.
It's a flooded market in that.
It's a very flooded
We
market.
try to explain that everyone's in the high efficiency game because it's money to be made.
Right.
It's a 10, 15-year turnaround rather than a 30-year turnaround with a regular, standard, conventional heating system. And everyone's in it, but how many people have already gone out of business in the last 5 years that were in it or changed the design
Or got
changed
bought
the
out
name,
by another company.
and you can't get warranty, and then now we're going to the house to help the customer, and then that manufacturer doesn't exist anymore. I can't get a warranty.
Right.
Now customer's upset, which is right as they should be upset, and you're up the creek without a paddle.
And the parts are more expensive on a high efficiency replacement than a standard old cast iron boiler.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people sometimes have a misconception of high efficiency because we do ship the product with a label on it that will tell you it's 95% efficient. It is 95, but it's all based on the return water temperature coming back. And we're not going to achieve that in Long Island because majority of the houses on Long Island were built with baseboard. And baseboard requires 180 degrees going out. In theory, they want 160 coming back. To achieve 95, I need below 100 degree water temperature. That's not going to happen in this way. It happens in Europe because their systems are designed differently in the way they do that. But here, people like the suitcase on the wall, and we do sell them, but they're not going to get that true 95% efficient, where a cast iron boiler will give you consistently 83 to 85% efficiency.
And the
Gas
reason
or oil.
I deal with Mark is because Mark's honest, as am I, and we tell the customers this before we put it in. If you think you're going to get 95%, because it says it on the sticker, in this particular house that has baseboard heating or hydrocoils, it's not going to happen. Will you be more efficient than what you have? Absolutely.
Right.
But
You
here's
manage
all-
their expectations.
Yes,
so-
here's all the pros, here's all the cons, and then you go from there. And then what a big problem is, especially I guess Hurricane Sandy really, is when
That
it was like the
catapulted.
Wild West. And everyone was plugging in these boilers, and I'd say 70% of them aren't even piped or wired correctly.
Right.
And that's an
Everyone
issue.
just been
And
a
it's
fast fun.
voided warranties and upset customers, and now everyone has this. Now some people can't go back because then they already knocked their chimney down, and now they're stuck. And it is what it is.
Right.
So it's.
Sandy did change the industry for Long Island to what they call a combi boiler, which will do your heat and your domestic hot water. They thought it was the best thing since sliced bread, but I always preference to people, we've had a combi boiler going back to the 60s on Long Island. It was an oil boiler with a tankless coil in it, and every house had that. Whether you were in Levittown in the 40s, that's what you had. You got used to it. You knew when you run out of hot water and it would do 3 to 4 gallons per minute. That's what it did.
Right.
The only difference was we had a big piece of cast iron that lasted forever. Then we put a box on the wall, and that's what it does. But the homeowner's expectations in the U.S. is different than in Europe, where this comes from. In Europe, they know in 10 years it has to be changed because it's efficiency rulings and it's regulated.
Yeah.
Here, we've gone from a boiler that was in your house that lasted for 30 years or 40 years.
Yeah.
I was on one in Farmingdale that was there since 1929. It was an old coal-fired boiler. It was made by Ron McLean. The cast iron was so thick it lasted all these years. So people were used to that. And then when you put it on the wall, the other thing they don't realize is you have to service it.
Right.
It's like a car. And if you don't service it, you're going to have issues. And then it costs more money when you don't have issues. It's not like changing your oil. You're supposed to do it every 3,000 to 7,000 miles. You don't do it every 50.
Right.
And if you do it every 50, you're going to have an issue. So
it's a problem. It could be misleading. You know, some guys can mislead a customer and say, you know, it's all these bells and whistles and it's perfect thing. And then what happens is that person who sold that boiler, a year later, 2 years later, they call them up and I get the phone call. The guy who installed it isn't around.
Yep.
He won't answer my call.
Or he doesn't do the
Or
service.
he doesn't do the service.
Right.
And I go there and it's wrong.
Right.
And it's very easy to not be wrong because there's a diagram in the book
Yeah.
to follow. And it's very easy if you look at it. And it doesn't always happen.
Service on high efficiency units always has to be done and looked at and maintained. If it's not, like I said, a fan on anyone could cost you $400, $500, $600 to do the part, and then you know plus the labor to put it in and stuff. And that's if it's not installed properly or vented properly and the runs are different. Yeah, you can go through that type of product.